got rituals for damn near anything you want to do, and we can give them to you tonight.
Chris V. Still get it from the intellect reservoir. Cosmic surfing, these two sons of God didn't come from virgins. Ether makes up these gods. We rode light angles to the earth plane. Again trapped in skin but a different name. Monads, been here since Ruth and Moabs. Thought you killed me when Drew and Marcus got toe tagged. That's why I'm here with the Grand Chairman of Fear. Truth make you think critical like Sabir. Doing the God things, I make ancients appear. And all I'm hearing is knocking while I'm watching a seer. Ancient rituals and sound healing notes through Pro Tools. Eye to eye transfers knowledge, you need no schools. Waking up the masses, music is classes stage. Most fail cause they look like the flying shades. Following demons possess Kanye's and Lil Wayne's. Expecting a hippie with a cross and a Greek name. In a melanin calls me D&V, the link up with no cheese. Orisha's in me, I'm not what you don't see. I'm not one of those armchair revolutionaries. Allah's in me, sick and tired of being sick and tired. But that's just where we get our strength, man. The Christ is in me. I'm not a hustler, pimp, gangster, wankster, but trust me, they all in me.
I got it when the moon shifted the tomb in the melanated womb. Sipping milk in the honeydew and triple black, boom. Touchdown, traveling on planet Earth where we crush clowns. While I'm managing this curse and preparing the elixir that turns copycats into kitty litter. These poor pussies pretend my limitations are limited as I do a lap around the galaxy. Had to gather light and rally back and fuck the fallacy. And cause of that, I got labeled the antagonist. And it didn't help that I cuss and bun cannabis and bun candles and wear symbols of Orishas. And I put a hex on the heads of 7 preachers with 1 trailer spit aimed at the pulpit. Crush the crucifix, a whole tabernacle backflip. I'm not Catholic, but if I choose my bare resonance, you may just catch a glimpse of Lucifer's semblance. Up and down Jacob's ladder with my melanin, the vessel of no fear none. You can find the devil in.
God's in me, I say that so serious. Turn a nigga to a god, show you I'm serious. Got him proclaiming, name changing and facing with no guilt or fear. All these clansmen masons, we stand on squares, circumscribe our own circumference. Goddess Lakshmi bless me with abundance of prosperity. I speak with clarity, not to confuse. Put Moorish in front everything from Christian to Jews. I'm the anchor, so I don't listen to news on some snail type vibrations making me snooze. Calling a Parker to call down our UFO crews. Like Yahweh or Dogon shamans, we call on Ra Amen. For sun ritual, spiritual, I'm physically trapped. Rewind, play back, and get your pineal tap. Like Gregory Hines, when I'm spitting the rhymes. A&Rs want me to blow, but all rights reserved when we sign. In a melanin calls me D&V, the link up with no cheese. Orisha's in me, I'm not what you don't see. I'm not one of those armchair revolutionaries. Allah's in me, sick and tired of being sick and tired. But that's just where we get our strength, man. The Christ is in me. I'm not a hustler, pimp, gangster, wankster, but trust me, they all in me.
Alright, so let's pour the libations Omagumu, Olensu, Shumala, Okija, Chiaja, Cheoa, Alcala, Locayo, Kakambo, Lalula. I need some halala shades. Issa, Monu, Noku, Mana, Imatu, Tuki, Juba, Doba, Egati, Kasimbo, Nizaba, Isala, Abiru, Pazuzu, Kupa, Numeresh, Aloria, Ida, Ayo, Everett, Ragba, Notoyo, Monu, Neptu, Nizu, Yohana, Hele, Latin.
Drew Ali said black means death, but y'all blind and deaf and can't read truth you can't find. Miss Drew Ali lessons waiting for Jesus. Teaching lies is competence, nigga doesn't mean negus. More doesn't mean black, it means more bite. And high priest of a new, holding the marvelous light. 7 orbs in our palm, we are ancients returned from the line of Ruth. Skin looks like brass burned, hair looks like Zoroaster, face of an old Mac. Sundial is my watch, FOH with your Rolex. Drew Ali said black means death, but y'all blind and deaf and can't read truth you can't find. Miss Drew Ali lessons waiting for Jesus. Teaching lies is competence, nigga doesn't mean negus. More doesn't mean black, it means more bite. And high priest of a new, holding the marvelous light. 7 orbs in our palm, we are ancients returned from the line of Ruth. Skin looks like brass burned, hair looks like Zoroaster, face of an old Mac. Sundial is my watch, FOH with your Rolex. Major not minority, no clicking heels like Dorothy. Flames on a strong man, no joining their sorority. Great Seal is not Illuminati but Moorish. Disrespect Moors and we might get boorish. We're in our own land, fam, don't call me a tourist. I use the floor more, fine tuning my auras. Let them know that I'm back in the booth, back for the youth. Words coming out of mouth is the truth. Let them know that you're back in the booth, truth. Let them know that I'm back in the booth, back for the youth. Words coming out of mouth is the truth. Let them know that you're back in the booth, back for the youth. Words coming out of mouth is the truth.
Get your foot up off my ottoman. Empire built for an Ottoman. Never mix me up for them other men. I'm writing with an iron pen. Good life and not a gem. Born in an empire, not a sin. Moorish American, round table, Moorish ordering. I am feminine and masculine. Principle, rights inalienable. So I'm able. Now Cain wants to kill me. Biblical. My brother who pretends to be brotherly. Try to put me back in slavery. Confederate flags under my cherry tree. Washington cut it down, but Washington is still in me. Moors, yo, I speak the tongue, uplift the blind, the deaf, the dumb, and everything is mine, you some. Legislative act, municipal outcomes. Animal farm, I see the reruns. Nation never cared for a president. Trudeau in a turban, that's evident. Major, not minor, that's permanent.
Let them know that I'm back in the booth, back for the youth. Words coming out of mouth is the truth. Let them know that you're back in the booth, back for the youth. Words coming out of mouth is the truth. Let them know that I'm back in the booth, back for the youth. Words coming out of mouth is the truth. Let them know that you're back in the booth, back for the youth. Words coming out of mouth is the truth.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Gates Cemetery, February the 4th day. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law make civil little a lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. Or keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm Rob Bass, mixing with rock the hard way. I was in a lost state. Prophets told me up right, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm sorbet, prepping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, Deja Vu, Roman J. Israel. Had no but I lay in plain sight, but people still can't see it. So the snake's still showing up, stakes still high, so the race still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death dip in slavery. Looking for light, the book of Genesis. Astral plane entrances, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life, finishing.
Morris Omar, key man or oracle, using Trinity powers, decipher allegorical.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common sense quickie.
Legendary, bury me in the North Gates Cemetery, February the 4th days. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law makes it a literal lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. Or keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm Rob Bass, mix it with rock the hard way. I was in a lost state. Prophets told me up right, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Sorbet, repping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, Deja Vu, Roman J, Israel. Had no but I lay in plain sight, but people still can't see it. So the snake's still showing up, stakes still high, so the race still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death dip in slavery. Looking for light, the book of Genesis. Astroplane entrances, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life, finish him.
Morris Omar, key man or oracle, using Trinity powers, decipher allegorical, lost and metaphorical, holy books are metaphysic, facts slap a dirty more or a Drew Ali critic, calling him Thomas or Walter and get your face caved, or cut like a close shave, drowned in my brain waves, squashed by heat waves, activating Kundalini, Abyssinia invaded by Mussolini, Selassie I in exile, reptile in Genesis, niggas appearing real, all I see is false evidence, VAR feminists, stomped on by elephants, won't let go prejudice but want Moorish benefits, when you feel the pull magnetic resonance, Apis horns of the sacred book called Maleficent, great cosmic mothers, return to blessedness, no pestilence, ace all the testaments, tap into remembrance, never to forget again, use energy right, not put spell effects on men, wandering the earth plane with no they live shades, keeps you a mental slave as the horizon fades, it's been decades since Christian crusades, not enough rebellions, too many vigil bouquets, holding on to the fence, burning on doomsday, war ruled by Mars, it might be on a Tuesday.
Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quickie. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try?
Islam Wars, been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while. So, you already know it's fact checker time. It's police get to do nothing because people are gonna police people. And they're not even policing them fairly. So we just wanted to remind everybody that as a Moor, as the and the so-called Aboriginal, Indigenous, got a YouTube page, 50,000 views, Patreon, all of them are never going to tell you about this. These are supposed to be the Aboriginal people. How come they're not telling you about this? How come they're making up stuff in order to try to sell you a vaccine exemption? How come the Indigenous people making up stuff? Why don't you just use the Indigenous documents that they got right there? Why are you making up stuff? Why are you listening to some Europeans telling you about what COVID's about? And you're not listening to these Europeans who told you, you know you're Indigenous? And because you're Indigenous, we're the truth and reconciliation, because it's your time right now, because, and I thought you said that the first people of the planet were the black guys and all that. So if the first people of the planet were black guys, then wouldn't the people of the America be black guys? And if they're black guys, then how come they're not saying they're Indigenous? So since they won't tell you, we're talking about the black guys. And then since the Indigenous whoever, they're not going to tell you. All they want you to come join their tribe so you can go do some BS. So, as a Moorish American, as Moorish American, Moors of the Americas, there's an American Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People. America doesn't mean Europeans. American means copper-colored natives who were in the Americas before Europeans. So this is for anybody who is under that. Article 18, Health. States shall take measures to prevent and prohibit indigenous peoples and individuals from being subject to research programs, biological or medical experimentation, as well as sterilization without the indigenous people and individuals, prior, free, and informed consent. Likewise, indigenous people and persons have the right, as appropriate, to access their data, medical records, and documentation of research conducted by individuals and public and private institutions. So, you do whatever you want. Can't say we didn't tell you. Can't say we didn't tell you. That's the theme. That's the theme of today. The theme of today is can't say we didn't tell you. Can't say we didn't tell you. PurplePaperClip.com, June 21st, 2021. 9 Feathers Fraud. What month is it now? October? June comes before October, right? Okay. Noble Drew Ali told all these Moors, don't mark your fez. Noble Drew Ali, who you probably never heard of him or whatever like that, nobody told you, too bad, so sad. You better go study Noble Drew Ali if nobody ever told you. Because somebody played you. If you know about all these other people and you don't know about Noble Drew Ali, somebody played you. So this individual that you don't know by the name of Noble Drew Ali, and if you have any debates about BS that you heard about him, ask your questions in the chat in all caps. So you can get answers instead of keep spending fiat with dumb people stealing your finances, and then we're doing righteous work and we can't even get 5 notes from you. But still, we're out here for nothing, just letting you know. So we're letting you know that there's a guy named Noble Drew Ali who you never heard of. And if you heard about him, it was some BS. They're telling you some BS about him. Not telling you the truth about him, like when you ask them about W. Du Bois, they tell you the truth. And then when you ask them about Ivan Van Sertima, and they'll tell you the truth. And you ask them about Layla Africa, and they tell you the truth. So when you ask them about Noble Drew Ali, all of a sudden there's all this stuff that he did to disqualify him. And all these other people with traits, you're not looking at their sellout trader traits as anything. When it comes to Noble Drew Ali, you're critiquing every damn thing for no reason. But no problem. Because he's a prophet. He already told us about you people. So, like we say, stick your head out the veil. Hey, how you doing? You want to know what's behind the veil? No? All right. See you later. See you next time we go live. And who knows? The next shutdown might be, next shutdown might be never again have this. You better get what you can get, because you already saw they shut down the stuff the other day. Everybody's mad they can't go on their stuff like a dumbass. Go get a book. You tell me about your stuff shut down. And all the apps shut down. And so what, you can't survive without the damn app? That was like me and somebody was laughing. At the generations after us that they didn't take studying serious or whatever, that give them the phone, they go wherever. Give them a map, yo, they're done for. They're done for with a map. Even though right up there, there's the street sign that says, the sign says street whatever. And you look on the map and it says street whatever, and you could line yourself up on the map with that sign and get somewhere. Or a ridge or a river or whatever. Nothing. Didn't even know north, south, east, west, which way to hold the map. No clue. So we're from generation of books and stuff like that. We're from the generation of, you have a certain time when you get your book and you go read. I don't care what you think you want to do. But you got 5 pages to do before you do anything. So we told you not that you weren't told. Don't tell me that you don't know. We told you. And then after we told you, that was June, after we told you, they come with a marked fez that Nobujuali said, Moors, don't mark your fez. Because if you mark your fez, you're not clean anymore. If you mark your fez, you're not clean. It's that simple. So these dirty people out here who you're giving all your finance to, and then the people who really deserve it, oh yeah, since we're talking about people who deserve it, people who deserve it, don't forget, get on deck for the astrology classes that's starting up October 13th. The deadline to pay is the 9th. So you have 4 days to sort your stuff out. If you remember what used to be happening at the National Theater, the National Theater is going virtual. So they're starting it off where it's always supposed to start off, with the astrology. Starting up October 13th. So some of those package finance that you're taking to go buy some paper from some guy online, how about double that, give it to this, and actually learn yourself first? Because all that paperwork doesn't mean jack if you don't know yourself. And don't tell me because you got L and B that means you know yourself. That doesn't mean jack. You got a fez? That doesn't mean anything. What does that mean? Oh, you got a nationality card. Oh yeah, that really means you're a Moor. You print that at Staples. So what is it? I'm a Moor. For real? For real, for real? Are you a Moor still when they say 120 days for something you didn't do? Something you didn't do. And still be a more after? Knowing if you're a more even in that situation, comes down to you knowing yourself. And the best way to know yourself is astrology. And again, you've never paid for anything. And if you did pay for something, you always got something extra from RVBaypublications.com. Always got something extra. Never did you put in for something and only get out what you put in for it. You always got extra. Always. So it's supposed to be 20 notes a class, 12 classes, pay in full, 200. And you get 2 free classes. And again, Moors who are adepts that are already astrologers, you don't need this. This isn't for you. You already went through kindergarten. You don't need to go back to kindergarten. This is for people who want to know. And you want somewhere to start. This is where you start. With astrology, with knowing yourself. And somebody who you could use to teach you about that, the mother. Because they've always did it to you for free. So what's the problem? And remember, this is not for the adepts who already know their self. And who already got a natal chart, who already knows rising and knows the Vedic calendar relative to who they are, and who are beyond this. Because this is not for adepts. These are people who want to know. Now you got 200 and you just want to sit in it just because, hey, you know what I mean? Why not? Then, do whatever you got to do. Class corresponding email. rvbay2020@gmail.com. Right, so just go on the site, RVBay Publications. RVBay Publications. If you want to get the classes in. But now you want to put your finance to get a MACD from the Mark Fez guy who told you in June, warned the nations in June about these frauds. It's on the records. Been on the record. Just like Moors who already knew what was up, saw this stuff coming from whatever, and put in their exemptions early. And they ain't had any issues. Still have no issues. And that's without nationality card, without showing some barcode, whatever, try to prove some Moorish, whatever. No. This is the position. I'm Aboriginal Indigenous. Oh, you didn't hear? Oh, you didn't hear? Oh, states shall take measures to prevent and prohibit Indigenous people and individuals. Right, so Indigenous peoples as a collective and Indigenous people as individuals. The states shall take measures to prevent and prohibit. We don't have to do anything. They have to do this. This is what they're obligated to. But remember, it's only for the Indigenous. It's not for the Negro, Black, Colored, BIPOC, Aboriginal, this and that. It's not for you. It's people who have a nationality. Because that's a prerequisite to even qualify to have the rights. What's your nationality? You don't know? Oh, you thought Noble Drew Ali was some backflipping acrobat stuff. That's what you heard. Oh, you didn't know he brought you your vast estate and your nationality and everything that they took from you in slavery. That all these Negro, Black, whatever, conscious whoever's never tell you about Noble Drew Ali and his impact. His impact by being a representative of the Moorish nation. That has been since the Moors of Spain they heard about the Moors again. And they weren't playing. You see the convention pictures? It's not just the people on the steps only. States shall take measures to prevent and prohibit Indigenous peoples and individuals from being subject to research programs. Are you gonna tell me right now that what you see going on right now isn't a research project? You better not say that this is not a research project. That's what they're doing now. Biological research. And guess who's the guinea camel? Guess who? And what we're saying, forget what all these other people are telling you. Here's your remedy. They've been playing you. You don't realize they've been playing you? Right? When they say you, we're talking about people who don't have a nationality. When they say you, we're talking about the incompetent people. When we say you, we're talking about people who are on the fence and they don't know what to do. Letting you know where your remedy lies. It's in having a nationality and exercising Indigenous rights. Other than that, you're subject to research programs, biological or medical experimentation, as well as sterilization, without prior, free, and informed consent. Isn't that Margaret Sanger and all them? Tuskegee? That's that, right? So how is that not the same as what's going on right now? You know, they can't have everybody die from the shot or whatever. So of course some people got placebo, some people got nothing, some people, they tested it actually didn't have any effect on them, whatever. Now we're saying that you have certain rights that are pre-established, but you don't want that because somebody told you Noble Drew Ali did something crazy. So you're gonna say, nah, I'm not a Moor because Noble Drew Ali is, and he said that we're Moors, but he did this and that. This is beyond him. This is beyond him. Noble Drew Ali said Allah sent him. So how is it him? How is it I do my father's work? Well, if you're doing his father's work, then obviously it's not his work, it's his father's work. It's beyond him. This is what they're not going to tell you. Because if they put it to you, then you realize you don't need them. You handle your own affairs. You start putting 50 billion a year to hair and 20 billion to eyelashes. How about we put some of that into education? You think something might change? The entertainment, just bring the entertainment down a little bit and put it to something more feasible to what we need. But nah, how the Negroes do. They know. Jump through a hoop because they've been educated. No problem. Go jump. Go jump. Because the game, you know what? Let's just give you some game. Give you 1 minute of game.
The original Arabs, the people in Arabia right now, Saudi Arabia, that are calling themselves Muslims and all that, ISIS and all that, those people are originally Persians. So they don't come from the Maghreb or that land that would include Northwest Africa. They don't come from there originally. The original people of that land is Berbers. But we're going to deal with that because there's a lot of racism that these people are learning from this side of the globe. And what racism does, long story short, it makes all the dark-skinned people, it puts them outside of context when they talk about any type of history, any type of people or anything. It puts the dark-skinned people outside of it. And it's up to the dark-skinned people to put themselves back on. But they keep you ignorant of who you are, put different people in your uniforms. So when you see yourself, you think it's white, or you call it this label. You give it you give yourself a.
Not knowing who you are. So then once you know who you are, that starts the chain reaction of correcting all the wrongs. Because you can't lie to yourself. Playing that little BS with your black stuff. But when it's nationality now, and you're talking about birthrights, you're talking about Islam, I, self, law, and master. It means you're responsible for your stuff. And you're probably going to take some L's early. Because the boat left so long ago. Our people are eons from where they're supposed to be. They think they got something. They think they got something. And then they keep pushing it in your face for you to realize that, where you're going with this is not. Do you see the stuff where they had the man on Breakfast Club tell these people that they're replacing black people with robots? Like, what do you mean? What racism? What are you talking about? You're black. If you're saying that you're black and European system falls tomorrow, whoever's taken over, black is property to them. And they're not going to play little European race games with you. These other people are not going to play these race games with you. And when Juali made reference to the Moors on the high road and all that, that's where you want to be at. Because if you're dealing with this on the low road, you're already 100 years behind. This stuff was over. Do you know what it means that at the time of the first convention, the Moorish movement, that just had to do with Moors all across the different jurisdictions who were part of the temple and all that. That was the presidential inauguration. That the stuff is over. We got Oscar the Priest in office already. We got Binga. We got everybody down with Moors. The Hebrews are down with Moors. We already spoke with Garvey. He's going to write the letter from them, tell them nationality, let them come back home, and the stuff was over. And we're 100 years behind because people took the sign down, put up their own sign, took the fez off, got rid of the nationality card, and started talking about we're black people. When that spell was destroyed. Then your own is why you suffer now. You blame the white man all you want. It's going to mean nothing. Your cries are on deaf ears. Just looking at you, with your mouth open, drooling. You can't do anything because they're not hearing you. Because, you're still confused? Okay, one more minute.
Able outside of what you were originally called. And that's why we're kind of in this position. So original Arabs, the people in Arabia right now, Saudi Arabia, that are calling themselves Muslims and all that, ISIS and all that, those people are originally Persians. So they don't come from the Maghreb or that land that would include Northwest Africa. They don't come from there originally. The original people of that land is Berbers. But we're going to deal with that because there's a lot of racism that these people are learning from this side of the globe. And what racism does, long story short, it makes all the dark-skinned people, it puts them outside of context when they talk about any type of history, any type of people or anything. It puts the dark-skinned people outside of it. And it's up to the dark-skinned people to put themselves back on. But they keep you ignorant of who you are, put different people in your uniforms. So when you see yourself, you think it's white, or you call it this label. You give it you give yourself a label outside of what you were originally called. And that's why we're kind of in this position. So original Arabs, the people.
That's why we're in this position. Because everybody else has nationality. Anybody else playing color games? It's only us playing that game. Only us playing that game. They didn't tell you? According to Galician, Asturian, and Portuguese mythology, the Moros are a race of supernatural beings that inhabited the lands of Galicia, Asturias, and Portugal since the beginning of time, For unknown reasons, they were forced to take refuge under the earth, and now they are usually seen by people in the surroundings of castros and long barrows. Moros is Portuguese for Moors, or Moorish, known as enchanted Moros. The history of the term Moor is similar to the word Aryan. In other words, these terms originally referred to a divine quality in man, i.e., Aryan means noble, and were later co-opted into racial descriptions. For example, in Portuguese texts such as Portugal, Mundo de Mortos de Moras, Volume 1 by Fernanda Franzão and Gabriela Moret, we find the following characteristics and definition of a Moor. And this also one of the reasons in the current misconception base between enchanted Moorish and Muslim ethnicity, a clear confusion between who was here in medieval times and the mythical beings of traditions. The Moors, or their obvious derivative Moorish giants and Morinos, delighted, are the essential elements of what we consider to be the hardcore of such narratives, above all supernatural beings that as such have magical powers. It can transform their habitat, cave, rock, or pit, in rich and luxurious palaces, offer gold. These data further draw the indication that the Moorish root word may have had as meaning precisely supernatural being. Many of the features and power of the enchanted Moorish are attributed to witches so persecuted by the Inquisition. Most often, the enchanted Moorish are gentle maidens who transform into a snake or have half woman, half snake, or are at the outset a serpent. The night is the natural backdrop for the usual meetings of gods of the underworld lords, or for an assembly inhabitants of Moorish and Moorish masters of the underworld, whose hands are invisible, the water of stones of libations, the bones of Mother Earth, or the bodies, the sun noise to make raising water, or the sound of rain falling, the gathering and the precautions for part of being mortal, when before supernatural phenomena, and yet the symbolism of the three. Now, why would I want to be Negro, black, colored, and all that stuff if Moorish is all that? And never ever have you heard them describe black as that. And the only way that they probably would have did that is probably with some Richard King books or something like that. That they would be describing black in some supernatural context. According to ancient lore, they are the souls of young maidens who were left guarding the treasures that the Moros hid before heading to the Morama. The legends describe the Moros encantades as young maidens of great beauty, or as charming princesses who are dangerously seductive. They appear as guardians of the pathways into the earth of the limit frontiers, where it was believed that the supernatural could manifest itself. Moros are magical maidens who guard castles, caves, bridges, wells, rivers, and treasures. Jose Vasconcelos considered as possibly that the Moras may have had assimilated the characteristics of local deities, such as nymphs and spirits of nature. Consigliere Pedroso also referred to the Moras as feminine water genies. So if they're all that, being Moros, why are you playing around with all these other fictions? Why are you playing around with all these fictions? Why don't you be yourself like Noble Drew Ali told you? Because when you be yourself, not only American Declaration of Rights, but also the UN Declaration of Rights. Indigenous individuals have an equal right to the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health. So if the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health is a right that the indigenous have, then it's obviously their culture, because how they're going to manifest this highest attainable standard of physical and mental health is by, part one, indigenous peoples have the right to their traditional medicines, to maintain their health practices, including the conservation of their vital medicinal plants, animals, and minerals. Indigenous individuals also have the right to access, without any discrimination, all social and health services. So, if indigenous people have the right to their traditional medicines, obviously they wouldn't need a shot. Because they have their own. If you get something that's out there that's killing millions of people, oh my God, banning or whatever like that, as indigenous people, you have your own herbs and all that stuff you're going to take for that. If you get that, you don't need something that they have. You have your own stuff. Anybody could go in the health book, look in the health book and say coronavirus, common cold. As indigenous people, we already know the medicinal plants that we would use in order to prevent, because we really don't want to have to cure anything. How about we just prevent stuff? So we go through our little doorways, because everything is about mushrooms in ancient culture, and being able to talk to plants and talk to all these different animals or whatever, like to figure out what the hell that they're doing and what is this, to document this stuff. You think the Dogon priests weren't on shrooms if they could see Sirius A and B and all that stuff? You think they just naturally just did that? They just naturally said, hey, Sirius A, Sirius B. Really? Oh, really? Remember, we're talking about medicinal plants of our culture and all that stuff. We're not talking about, PCP and all this stuff. We're talking about medicinal plant in order to maintain the health practices. the minerals, body salts, all that. It's part of the culture. That's why it's a right for us to do this. But you can only do it as indigenous. You know, you can't do that as Hebrew, Israelite, and Nation of Islam and all that. But all of them are vaxxed. You check them. Are they listening to Riza Islam? Because how come they're not listening to him saying that he's a Moor and that's how he escaped the Medicare fraud? You realize? Ain't nothing happening about Medicare fraud? You were supposed to go to court in May. Nothing happened? You don't think something's going on? We know he went to court as a Moor. Did you know? Did you know that Riza Islam went to court as a Moor to beat the Medicare fraud case? And he's out here right now, right? No, but the Moor stuff doesn't work though, right? Yeah, all right. No problem. No problem. Have any questions? Put it in the chat. They're sticking their head out the veil. Put a little something out here and sneak back off this before they shut us down. Islam to all the Moors. Oh, you want to see his paperwork? Let's show you his paperwork. Let's show you his paperwork. Here's his paperwork. Here's his paperwork. How come his paperwork is somebody else's paperwork? How come his paperwork, he's not sovereign royal assent of Atmorium geodetic survey and family? He's not them. How come he's using somebody else's thing? How come this has date of issuance copyright 2005, but Mahdi wasn't even around in 2005? What do they mean they're showing this and saying proof? What do you mean by proof? Like what does that mean? What do you mean proof? Like proof of what? Proof of what? Do you understand these people are playing you? How are they using somebody else's thing as proof for who they are? The well's running dry for these people. Don't give them your finance. Whatever you want to know, guess what? Go to a library. Or go to a bookstore and buy the book on it yourself. Stop paying for people to tell you some BS. It's not even like you're paying them and they're telling you something good. Telling you BS and you're going with it. Oh, there's the countdown. So they're still playing countdown. Alright. Islam to all the Moors. Peace and love. Honors to all the mothers. Honors to all the Moors worldwide, and honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali.